This program is brought to you by Apply Mortgages.
Our first match of the night then, Stevie Dempsey against Neil Raybone. Ireland versus England, two proper players, Simon, with fantastic CVs. Cannot wait for this one.
Yeah, both these guys know what it's like to win on the biggest stage of all. We saw Neil go very deep in the previous competition. This is the first time we get to see Stevie on our screens here on Free Sports, but he is a fantastic player with a great CV and won a lot of titles, especially over in Ireland.
Yeah, two-time Irish champion, among a host of others, which I'm sure we'll get into it at certain stages during this match. This is a really good tie. And for both players, I guess, a bit of a horrible draw, because they wouldn't like to play an opponent so strong in the first round of a competition, especially with it being the last 64. But beggars can't be choosers in this tournament, that's for sure. It's a difficult start for Stevie, though. A good break, but he left himself a horrible white ball, and he's turned the table over to Neil Raybone and said, "I'd rather you have that problem."
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes the balls just don't open up nicely for you, even though that break was fantastic, a big split. He deserved a chance from it. He didn't really have one, and it's not a nice layout for either player here. And the player that takes the first opportunity may be risking making it easier for their opponents. Chance on reds here for Stevie, but two big problem balls.
Well, that's a horrific fluke, but it's kind of what he was trying to do. He was trying to play the red off the reds, solve two problems in one, in making a pot and getting a ball out. He has done that by hook or by crook, or rather by hook or by fluke, but he'll take it. And it's a good chance now. He's still got a red to worry about near the bottom of the table, though.
Yeah, and that was the one at the bottom of the table for me is the bigger problem of the two that he had to solve. Don't think the yellow's far enough away from the cushion to be able to play it into the cushion and sort of squeeze it off that ball and make it go in. So maybe some sort of cannon required, potentially a double to the bottom right-hand corner, although landing on that double, very difficult. So big problem for Stevie to solve. And as we talk about every week, the deeper you go into a finish like this, then the easier you're going to make it for your opponent if you don't complete the finish. I think we saw Stevie have a look at the angle he was going to leave on this red to the top left-hand corner to be able to come down the table. Now, whether he's thinking about a cannon or whether he's thinking about coming down for something else, I don't know, but I think that's the route he's going.
And two players here, Simon, who are so experienced. You know, they've both been playing at a really top level for a long time. This environment, this tournament won't faze them in the slightest. They are both top level, and just excited to see them go at it, really. Stevie's got a bit of a problem here, though. He tried to play a cannon there, obviously was unsuccessful. He's just pointing to this cue where I think he wants to leave the white for maybe an attempted double on that last red if it goes to the bottom corner. It's a horrible shot, but might be all he's got to take on.
He's not bad on it, you know. Don't know if he can just about get the cue ball on out the way or not. If not, maybe squeeze it in off that yellow, but I've already said I don't think that's on. Is there enough room to be able to come off the back of it into the red? I don't think so. Big problems here.
What can he produce?
He has gone for the double, but you can see it's so hard to get that cue ball out the way. First opportunity for Stevie comes to an end. I actually think here he's not too far away, but I think if he'd got the potting angle on the red, then the cue ball might have been very close to being in the way, so shot may not have been on. The only good thing for Stevie is that at least the red's blocked the yellow at the bottom of the table, so it's not a clean run to the line here for Neil, which is why he's playing safe.
It's a pretty nasty safety shot he's played there as well. This far from easy. It tends to be how it goes when you can't quite run out, miss your final ball. Tends to be putting all kinds of problems. Oh, he's going to fluke it again. Thought he was for a moment.
It's one of those, sometimes you'd look at those situations, you think, okay, let's play it safe, let's just come off a cushion, rest into it, red will hit a cushion, but you're not going to gain anything from that other than just keeping yourself in the frame. Sometimes you go for a bit more pace, hoping to make something happen or fluke it somewhere, and I think that's what Stevie went for on that occasion. I was about to say now it is a clean run to the line in this frame for Neil, but that's not the best positional shot he's ever played. He needs to play a couple of very good positional shots at the top of the table just to work out the one on the top cushion and then play onto the one into the middle to open up the one to the corner. And he's going to wait one more time.
Yeah, he's a percentage player, Neil. It's what's made him, well, part of what's made him so successful down the years is he always tends to play the right shots.
I think he may have left this on because Stevie was just eyeing up that pot, and if he has left this on, that's a very loose shot from Neil Raybone.
Might have been the right shot, but was it the rightly executed shot? Well, he's got away with one because Stevie could just see that. I think he played that plain ball as well, which tells me that probably would have potted with a little bit of swerve.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he could pop that just the way he eyed it up. I think it's just he's just missed it by a distance, to be honest. A big let-off there for Neil, because when you got your opponent in the sort of situation he did, the last thing he wanted to do was give him any sort of sniff. So, and he's normally so good at that. Once he has his opponent miss last ball, Neil's so consistent at winning the frame, whether it's in one visit or whether it's, you know, a snooker's required or not. Still needs to play a couple of good positional shots to get out here.
From here, though, surely you can't see Neil going too far wrong. He was in action at the weekends. On the first big tour events was back on the World Rule side, and he had a pretty good run. Beaten by, in the two events, I think he was beaten by both players who ended up getting to the finals, who were on a bit of a hot streak. Quarterfinals in both, I think, for Neil at that event, in a massive field.
Yes, Stevie was also there as well. Both players in action.
Just nice to be able to say tour events are back, isn't it?
I think it's just great to see, isn't it? Things starting to return to normal.
And that's a little bit more like normal for Neil Raybone. The Razor goes 1-0 up. Fairly simple finish in the end for him. Well, here he is then, the Razor from Willenhall, a top professional European champion in 2019 in black ball rules. He was the former black ball #1, which is a huge achievement for him, I know. And he's familiar to those viewers on Free Sports. He saw him win a Premier League title a couple of years ago now, I think, on Free Sports. Obviously went deep in the Champions League a few months ago into the semi-finals there. And what isn't on there, he's a World Master 2011. Just a fantastic professional player.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of him here on Free Sports, not only just winning the Premier League and in the previous tournament making it through to the semi-finals, but he also made a previous Premier League final, losing out to Mark Boyle.
Tell you what, that was very nearly a golden break for Neil Raybone as well. He just jawed the black.
Yeah, and from a front ball as well, and we've seen a number of golden breaks since the rule was introduced. I think we've only seen one or two in this competition, but since the rule was introduced, but nearly all of them have been from cut ball breaks, second ball breaks. Very few, if any, from that front ball. But very similar to the opening frame this. That's an excellent break. A nice big split, but they've almost come back together and left a really awkward table.
We sometimes see this, don't we? It's great when there's a bit of a dish fest. But if the chances aren't there, players of this repute aren't going to go chasing them, especially not this early in the match.
Yeah, I think that's really important. I think once players get to the level where they are dishing consistently from the break. They start chasing it a little bit too much and forget this game isn't about trying to clear up from the break every single time. It's about trying to win frames of ball. And for me, as a player that, you know, trying to learn the game, you know, Neil Raybone is right up there as somebody I would advise going and watching and understanding when the right time to go for a finish is and when the right time to pull back and not go for it. It always seems, we use the word percentage player, he always seems to play the right choice of shot.
Yeah, it goes back to what I was saying in that first frame, doesn't it? Right before he nearly played a very bad shot. It was still the right choice.
Yeah.
And invariably, his execution tends to be very good as well. But Stevie's up against it here because this is a horrible table to come to. Neil has made it very, very awkward.
Yeah, it's not very inviting for either colour set at all. I think Neil would be happy to see Stevie attempt something similar to the previous frame, where Stevie decided to take on reds when he had some problems to solve. He managed to solve one of them, but not both of them. It cost him the frame. I know there's a couple of bit of messing around at the end there, but that was the reason why Neil won that opening frame.
And still open table at the moment as well. So I always find it's quite difficult when you're in a safety battle, but there's no colour set assigned. It's totally open table. It's a strange thing, isn't it? Because you're covering so many different options.
Yeah, almost. It's become, you know, the cat and mouse becomes even bigger, because for me, when it gets into safety battles, that shot's gone wrong for Neil. He's taken yellows, but created more problems from it. But going back to what you were saying, I'd always like to get my colour set as early as I can, so I know what I'm working to improve, what I'm trying to build on. I find it mentally easier to deal with. Not every player's the same, though. Sometimes the table's so messy, you almost want to tease your opponent into taking on something, and then you mop up what's left.
Yeah, cat and mouse is the perfect phrase to use, really, to describe this match so far. Especially this frame. Especially this frame. No consideration from Stevie to take that on. It's a poor shot. He's giving his head a bit of a wobble there, and quite rightly too, because it's a bit of a, well, I say a bit of a nothing shot. He was trying to make it difficult for Neil to play his next, but in tying up one of his own reds, it's a version of Paul's self-harm, really.
Yeah, that was a poor one from Stevie, and he knew it straight away. The shake of the head tells you that, and it was neither an attempt of a pot or an attempt at the safety. He got both wrong, whichever way he was going. Difficult to say. And he has, as you said, tied his ball, two more of his balls up, and you know, when you've got 4 balls on the table and you've got 6 balls on the table and 4 of them don't go, you're in a spot of bother.
That's a brilliant shot, though. That's a really, really clever shot. He's managed to play a safety while developing 2, well, in fact 3 of those 4 balls that you mentioned. Yeah, so really, really clever recovery.
And Neil has to be careful here, because the one ball that Stevie has left that's tied up isn't that difficult to solve. The red over the left centre pocket is fairly easy to land on the angle to be able to play into that ball at the bottom. So unless Neil can pull out a big shot here or keep it tied up from here, every chance Stevie's going to have an opportunity to go for this finish.
Extension called.
Here the referee there just announcing the extension's been called. Is 1 per player per frame in this competition.
No clear winner of this frame as yet.
Yeah, that's not ideal for...
I think Neil would love that shot back.
Yeah, he hasn't fouled. I guess that's the only positive from the position he was in, but he has knocked a red over a pocket. And
that's the sort of bleakest of silver linings, really, there, isn't it?
it is. The one problem he's got is that, see the yellow that's finished on the top of that line, so that's the top of the triangle area there, that's where Stevie would love to place the white to be able to develop his bad ball. And that yellow going and landing there means it's difficult for him to land on it from the red over the bottom right hand corner. So that yellow landing there has possibly stopped Stevie from taking this on. or certainly taking on using the red at the bottom.
It was an attempt. Wasn't just trying to play clever there. That was an attempted pot from Stevie, not quite there.
Yeah, and the fact that he's missed that now, he wanted the cue ball to travel a little bit further to the left-hand side because he absolutely did not want to leave Neil a chance to play this yellow down to the bottom right-hand corner. It's one of those shots for Neil. It knocks the red away, but also...
Yeah, good news, bad news, isn't it?
Yeah, he almost wanted to be able to... He could have done with playing into the red and then the yellow staying over the pocket. And this is what I mean with Neil talking about his percentage play. I think a lot of players there, having made that one, and I'm pretty sure that Neil wasn't trying to pot that yellow, he was just trying to take the pocket with the first shot he played. I think a lot of players would have then thought, okay, I've made it now, I've got a couple of problems to solve, but almost believe they could solve those problems and end up, you know, okay, 1 in 10 they might clear up, but the rest of them they're going to lose the match, lose the frame from it. Neil just says, no, I don't think this clearance is the right percentage play, and I'm going to make it difficult for Stevie, and just roll the yellow on top of the red and cause a big problem for him. And
it is difficult for him because whilst he's got 4 balls in the open that he can pot fairly easily, the one on the left cushion is a slight problem. The one now by this right corner pocket is a massive problem. Scores extension just to ease the time pressure. Doesn't want to pot this. Hasn't.
So it'll be interesting to see what Neil decides to do now, which way he wants to go. Of course, in tying up the red, he's also tied up a yellow, so he has the same 2 problems.
Well, a slow start to action tonight, and I think the way that this match has started, I think both players here are just showing each other a real amount of respect, because the way that the frame's gone so far, is that going to hold up? I think it is. It's being played in the manner that both players know that as soon as they play an aggressive shot and it goes wrong, they're going to lose the frame. And they know how difficult a game this is for the pair of them. Can't give away 3 frames in this if you want to win the match.
Yeah. Oh, that's a mistake though from Neil. He couldn't. I think he was actually snookered there. A little bit of fortune for Stevie to get the snooker rather than going in off. Irony. It has caused Neil to foul. But sometimes, just going back to what you were saying, sometimes the balls dictate, and the way those balls split in the opening 2 frames, it's just meant there was nothing for either player to go for in terms of going for that first.
Yeah, it's neither of their faults. Yeah, the splits were just a little bit unlucky.
And even in the shot that Neil's just played, you know, he's given away a foul, but he's knocked another ball safe and the 8 ball safe at the same time, just causing Stevie more and more problems. So this still, even with a cue ball in hand, anywhere on the table, this is not a good chance to take on a finish. Possibly playing another snooker here, just keep the cue ball behind the 8 ball. Yeah, keep that and just trying to open up the balls at the bottom. Clever shot and well played.
Yeah, he'll take that for sure. He will take that for sure.
Oh, what a shot from Neil. He was just trying to hit the yellow in. Wasn't really thinking about potting this. He would love for it to just stayed over the pocket. Doesn't do him too many favours it going in, and he still has a couple of problems to solve.
Yeah, in a strange way, Neil's last 2 pots, he's not wanted to pot either of them.
No. Last time he played, after making that pot he didn't want to, he decided to go safe. This time I can see him going aggressive.
Yeah, because there's not too much merit in not doing so, and that's a clever little shot to free that yellow. Can he play this into a pocket there? That's the question. If you're wondering why Neil's decided to go for it now instead of not, top level 8 ball pool, you want balls on the table in a safety battle. The less balls you have on the table, the more unlikely you are to win the frame, as counterintuitive as that sounds to some.
This might just about sneak in. It's tight.
That's a great shot. That's a great shot.
I'm not sure if this yellow goes direct or not, but he could play it off the red if it doesn't. He's come around to have a pretty good look at this, and
yeah, that's what he's playing, isn't it?
Yeah, I think the fact that he's lining this up off the red tells us that it doesn't go direct. Now, this sort of shot is, if you're right behind this sort of shot is really comfortable, but from this angle, this is a lot trickier.
Get on to red, not quite. And will that cost him the frame? It should do. That red hasn't finished too awkward for Stevie Dempsey. Fancy himself from here. He was close as well. Not to be for Neil.
Yeah, I think the way this match has gone, though, I know there's still half an hour to go. I don't think either of these players will get to 8 now, the way this match has started. But I feel this is a very important visit to the table for Stevie. Just to tie the scores up. Neil's made a mistake now. He needs to punish that. Trickiest ball to land on nicely is the 8 ball. Personal preference, which way around you want to go to land on it.
Yeah, because you're not taking that to the middle pocket, are you? Or you'd rather not.
No, absolutely not. So you want to try and land on it to the top left corner would be perfect. But it's risky to leave the 2 at the bottom as your last 2 balls. And the 2 at the top aren't good balls to land on it for that pocket. He's going to leave the ones at the bottom till last.
Can understand it, but it just puts an extra little bit on these shots because he can't afford to go wrong. No room for error here.
Oh, he's got to hit this one too hard. That's just about okay.
Makes this next positional shot very difficult, though.
Yeah, might have to play this one twice across. Avoid the yellow, but one good thing with moving the yellow that he's just hit to the left-hand side, it just opens up the path to the 8 ball from his last red if he can land nicely enough on it. Needs a bounce. Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, good shot.
May not be able to get really close to this, but certainly close enough.
Stevie Dempsey goes 1-1.
Frame.
Here he is, the Dubliner, 32 years of age. He's got a stellar CV, as we talked about, a 2-time Irish champion. Was the UK black ball champion only a couple of years ago, as well as a European champion all the way back in 2007. So he has been competing at the top level for a long, long time now, and still competing at the top level, still winning titles at the moment. And it's worth pointing out that 2007 European Championship win, that was so impressive with the sort of field that you saw in the European Championships in those days. It was, anyone who wins that is a top player.
Yeah, just an incredibly stacked field of ball players, it really is. And you know, he took down some of the greats to win that title. He actually made it through to the final the following year as well, losing out on that occasion. Better split this time. Another powerful break. They've opened up a bit kinder, but he hasn't landed nicely on a first ball.
Yeah, I'll just be thinking, come on, give me a chance here.
Yeah, it's
just want a nice break and a nice chance to dish.
you have some days where the balls just open up nicely and you can just see the finishes straight away. But this is another one where, okay, they split nicely. This certainly the best of the three, but this is still not easy for either reds or yellows, and he only really has a choice on yellows.
Yellow balls in play.
Yeah, all the balls are open, which in theory you look at it and think, okay, there's a chance here, but this pattern is tricky to figure out. This next shot is really, really big.
Yeah, it's just difficult to land on anything. He could play for a very difficult shot in playing for the plant. He could play for the gap and worst way land on the plant, but the plant is so difficult and the position off it would be difficult if he decides not to and goes up the table first. And it's still going to be tricky to land on that yellow in amongst the reds. So
yeah, I think if you wanted to be any colour set in this frame, you'd have chosen reds, but that wasn't available to Stevie Dempsey. This is the key shot. That's a pretty good one as well. If he can get through to the yellow at the top of the table, it's brilliant. If not, he's got a difficult plant, but that's a good positional shot.
yeah, I'm pretty sure he's on the plant. I don't think he can see the one nearest the pocket, but I think he would have accepted that. That's why he played it the way he did. If he just drifts by that red, he's probably on the yellow nearest the pocket. Catching it means he's on the plant, but he can still get out from here. Just a very difficult plant, but cue ball's coming on and off. Should give himself a look at a yellow without having to do a huge amount with the cue ball.
Not to be, and frustration for Stevie. It's a tough shot, this. It really is. But just with the way this match has started, you can just see a real shimmer of frustration on his face.
Yeah, it is just frustrating when you almost feel forced into taking on those difficult chances, because he knows as well as anyone that if you miss in that situation, he knew if he missed that plant, that, you know, more than likely it's going to mean losing the frame. It'd be a major shock to see Neil not run these out. It's pretty simple for a player of Neil's ability.
Oh yeah, no question. It's been a tough match this for both players. Both struggled at times. But the biggest thing that they've struggled with is actually the lie of the table. Not playing badly, they're just forced into very, very difficult decisions. Very, very difficult shots. It's tough out there at the moment. If you're Neil Raybone, he was delighted not to have to take that frame on. And just sweep up from a position of comfort. This was never going to miss. And Neil Raybone goes 2-1 up. We're going to take a quick break. This match continues when we come back. Well, welcome back. Big match between two top players. Stevie Dempsey at the table. You haven't missed a full frame. It's scrappy again.
Yeah, story of the match continues. The break was a decent one, but dry this time from Neil, but left a horrible table to go at. A little bit of safety play before Stevie decided to take something on. He didn't get very far, tried to develop his ball on the right-hand side, the one that's still tied up, and wasn't able to do so, ended up missing. And another bit of a safety battle again, and you know, Stevie's back in, and once again, still got one problem to solve, so still essentially chasing a finish here. Has the angle this time, but needs to land on it, because he's not going to be on the one at the top of the table. Oh, he plays it with control, and that is beautiful control. Just looking at the overhead camera, and it's difficult to tell whether that yellow goes to the corner. I don't think it does. I think the red's in the way. So the yellow at the top of the table now becomes a problem. He may be able to land on it into the center pocket and get the cue ball up towards the top left-hand corner pocket. Not easy to do that, though. Oh, he must go to the top right because he's played on it. So slightly deceptive camera angle there, and an excellent shot to avoid those reds. And you have to say, so far, this has been a brilliant visit to the table.
Yeah, needed this. Needed it in a big way. Gonna get over the line.
This must be relatively tight because you can tell he's not comfortable on it. And I know that the path of the cue ball is tricky, but that it's fairly wide open in terms of landing on that 8 ball. Yeah, went comfortably enough. And it's almost a black ball off the spot from what would be a shootout that we've seen here on Free Sports in the past.
Yeah, absolutely. If you want my opinion, I want them back, but I have no say in the matter.
I do like them, yeah.
Shot. Absolutely cued through it, Stevie Dempsey. 2-2. And it's game back on.
Best visit to the table in the whole match, especially there from Stevie. Brilliant to get the second opportunity, but to be able to develop the ball, had to thread the needle a couple of times. And what I liked was when he went to develop that bad ball, he didn't just go after it. He played it with control, with pace to play it so that it would knock it over the pocket. Fantastic.
Well, this is what we've got still to come. We're obviously looking at Stevie Dempsey versus Neil Raybone at the moment, but a great game later on as well as Arfan Dad takes on Brian Halcrow.
Frame number 5. Stevie Dempsey to break.
Really looking forward to see how that one goes. Chatting with Brian earlier, he's in great spirits. He's always in great spirits, but he's in particularly great spirits as finally Stevie's rewarded with a good break and a good chance. He's been waiting for this. This is the visit he's been waiting for. Great hit, good split, decent chance, could take either colour set. Thank you.
Yeah, that's how you want to break. That's the chance you want after the break. And with 14.5 minutes on the clock, it would be the perfect time for a break and dish to go in front. Just one ball that he needs to play nice position on too, but shouldn't be too difficult to land there. This 3-in line looks slightly awkward from the overhead, and the 8 ball's semi in the way. But I think if he just drops this one into the right corner, he can leave himself on the middle one of the 3 and then just play a little holding shot on the 8 ball, or into the 8 ball, and that should just free everything up.
Extension called.
Using his extension, extra 15 seconds just to work it all out. He's taking the one on the cushion first. It's a nice pot. The difficult angle he's left, sorry, I was just going to say, it's the angle he's left on his next pot is not ideal.
I'm just going to say, Simon, that the way that Stevie's approached this match so far, and the pace and the time he's taken over his shots, has been really deliberate and utilised his time well. I think at this rate, the 15-second shot clock will be a bit of a culture shock. That's coming in 3 minutes.
Yeah, and I'd question how often Stevie has ever played with a 15-second shot clock. There's definitely a big question mark over how he's going to respond to that. Of course, we talk about it a lot. I think being ahead going into that portion of the match is a huge advantage. he's just run too far to land on the yellow to the right corner. Angle on the one to the left corner is okay. Yeah, he's worked these out well. He really has. It's easy for us to sit in the commentary box and say it's a big split and a great chance for him, but you've still got to work it out and play some really good positional shots and pick a route that works. And
oh god, yeah,
he's done that well.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's slightly awkward queuing here, and he has to screw back a fraction.
Yeah, it was trimmed by. Oh no! Oh, I think this. Does this still go?
I think so. I think
touch and go.
In hindsight, I actually thought because of the angle he had on it, it'd screw across the face of the black and take the 8 ball in the same corner. But it looked like he tried to play it to hold, and
he's looking to play off the red here. Oh, such a good shot. Well played.
That's so good. That really is. He put himself in all sorts of trouble here. He should have been a simple tap-in 8 ball, but that's brilliant. I think it's so much better mentally when you put yourself in that position and you can come up with that big shot. Sometimes if your opponent leaves you that shot, I'm almost expecting it, but when you put yourself in it, it just, yeah, brilliant stuff there.
Well, a reminder of quarter one of the Masters draw. We've had a brilliant time in this competition, and we're not too far away, by the way, only a few weeks now from seeing those games. Jordan Shepherd against Chris Melling, Phil Harrison versus Rob Chilton in the last 16 of the Masters. Oh, cannot wait for those two.
Raybone to break.
Yeah, we've been talking about it for it feels like a while since we saw the way that quarter of the draw lined up, and it is mouth-watering. Cannot wait to see how that one's going to play out.
I had a little perusal. It's a good break from Neil there. A little perusal of the tournament odds before we got going tonight. What I thought was really interesting is Chris Melling is joint favourite with Declan Brennan at the moment. Third favourite is Jordan Shepherd, who Chris Melling plays in his last 16 match, which just says to everyone the level of that last 16 match, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, and I guess they're shorter priced than 2 or 3 of the big hitters we've still got to come, because they're already through to the last 16, where we've got
Michael Hill still to come, but he's got a very, very difficult first match. So
yeah, the likes of Michael Hill, Scott Gillespie, some big hitters still to come.
Neil Raybone has run aground here. He could make that pot. I thought he was in a bit more trouble than he was, but he's all right in the end.
He still needs to do a lot of work here, though. It's not a finish. Sometimes you get these players and you think, okay, that's the work done, but he's not even started, really.
That was the big shot. He solved one problem, but in doing so has created another. This 8 ball now is very, very difficult.
Yeah, I just don't see how Neil gets out here. And of course, we slightly missed it there, but we have gone into the last 15-second portion of the match.
Is he okay on this? I think he is. That's an amazing shot. Wow. Yeah, he's playing it. What a shot, Neil Raybone. That's superb. 8 ball's going to be very difficult to land on, but at least he's given himself a chance on it, which didn't exist a few seconds ago. Brilliant shot from the Razor.
Yeah, I thought he was way too thin there to be able to play that shot. Oh, it was brilliant. Can he avoid the red? Just looks like he's going to go awfully close to the red, nearest to the right-hand centre pocket. Just needs to go, just miss it underside. Yeah, misses it.
It's okay, I think. Yeah. It's not easy, but he's got a shot.
Okay, just about.
Oh, what a great clearance. What a great clearance from Neil Raybone. This match just warming up.
What a great response that was from Neil. I said 4 balls out, I couldn't see him clearing up. Comes up with a massive shot to open everything up, but you still got to then control the cue ball to get out, and he did that really, really well.
Yeah, didn't he just? And just as we say, this match is just warming up a little bit. The standard is, well, standard was always there, but it was one for the purists, wasn't it? With the tempo and with the frames that were provided in the first few. But when these players are in open table and they get rolling, they are so good to watch. And the last couple of frames have been an example of that. 2 top players tested, but running out with really difficult finishes. Stevie Dempsey now to go back in front, has gone straight in off. He's a little bit unlucky in the sense he got kicked, but he was already dancing with it there.
Massive split as well. It really flew open. A little bit lucky not to go in off direct. Way too close.
Extension called.
And the cue ball in hand is a massive thing here, because these reds aren't too bad, apart from a little cluster, which he can open up with his first shot because he can pick his angle.
Red ball's in play.
When I say they're not too bad, he has one more problem to solve on the right-hand side, which he's already looking at.
And if Neil can go in front with the break of his still to come for a chance to go 2 clear, that could be a really, really good opportunity, and that has come out very, very nicely for him.
Yeah, not quite as played this time. The red that's nearest the break line on the right-hand side, that wouldn't be too bad to double.
See here the shot clock pressure becoming more and more apparent. Neil is such a pro with it now, he's never going to be overly worried. He's not a particularly quick player, but he doesn't, you know, he can be if he needs to be.
Yeah, I don't think he's ever going to be particularly comfortable at such a short shot clock. I don't think anybody is really. But he's said when the short shot clocks were first brought in that, you know, actually quite likes it at 30 seconds, at 45 seconds as it first was, and then 30, because it sort of focuses his mind and makes him commit to his first choice. And sometimes he can overthink his shots.
It's not ideal here. He wants to be a little bit further up.
Can still make the double. Cue ball was going into the yellow.
Oh, I think he's all right, just. I'll look in a moment. Yeah, he's all right. Wow, a couple of little slightly fortuitous strokes for Neil Raybone. Will he care? Not one bit. It's a really, really good finish. In the end, 5-3. Here's the second quarter of the Masters draw. Carl Sutton takes on Sam Bircher. Josh Kane against the informed Declan Brennan. He looked brilliant here in the Champions League in his group that he won in Group 8. And even got himself a tour win on the world rules side of things at the weekend as well. He's in red-hot form. Mentioned earlier, joint favourite for the competition with Chris Melling. He's got Josh Kane to get through before he can even consider winning this tournament.
Yeah, those who were there at the weekend were saying that some of the best ball they've seen. He was an absolute machine all weekend long. So he's in absolutely brilliant form. We saw that.
Well, he knocked out Neil Raybone in the quarterfinals of the tournament that he won. So Neil said to me earlier, he said, yeah, I got beat by Declan. I had chances to win it. could have really ruined the story.
Yeah.
And that's the level that these fellas play at.
Extension called.
Well, this is another good chance for Neil. The 2 finishes he's just made back-to-back were absolutely brilliant, because he was in all sorts of trouble all the way through it. All the way through both of them. This one's opened up a bit better for him.
Red ball's in play.
Yeah, 4-3 Neil Raybone leads. If he holds his serve, as it were, he goes 2 clear with, what, a few minutes left to play, and Stevie Dempsey will be really, really up against it. Still not impossible, minds. I just wonder if Neil Raybone is thinking a little bit of game management, as he wants to try and use as much clock as possible on this visit.
He was a bit short on the previous positional shot, needed to be straight on that red to the top left-hand corner to be able to play on the one to the right, and in the end tried to play into it and didn't land. And now he's knocked the red at the bottom in, but he's knocked the next one safe. So what looked like a great chance on reds has very quickly become pretty much over.
Yeah, I don't think he's even got a shot on. Played his extension. Ooh, he nearly sneaked it in. Now then, Stevie Dempsey's a big chance for him. He's got the next break. This could swing the match. This could really, really swing the match. Don't think that double went for Neil. It's as close as he could have got to the 8 ball. If Stevie Dempsey can win this frame, he'll come to the table with about 2.5 minutes left. Maybe a little bit less. With the ball in his hand to break to probably go and win it. That could be a massive moment in this match, Neil not running out there. Of course, worth remembering, if we are level, when it comes to 0, we'll settle the score with a 6 red shootout.
Of course, Neil's a player that's already had
Yes.
a competitive 6 red shootout, and he'll be the first to tell you that it did not go well. He didn't put up a very good time at all.
It's him and Aaron Davies, wasn't it, if I remember right, in the Champions League. In a bit of a rubber. It was just to decide who topped the group, but I think both players would say it didn't go particularly well, actually. But yeah, Neil's certainly in that camp.
Looks like he's played on this to the top corner rather than the middle pocket.
Yeah, I like the way he's gone about these, actually. So he's going to have 2 minutes to go and win the match. Stevie Dempsey. What an opportunity. But, I mean, the danger is, of course, it's all or nothing. This next frame will decide it. So he knows if he doesn't make a ball, Neil Raybone's probably going to win it. It's all in this next break. So much is on it. 2 minutes and 5 remain. It's 4-all. It's essentially a 1-frame shootout.
Yeah, you say it's all or nothing, and it is, but you always back yourself when you're the breaker. He's been breaking well tonight, although the splits haven't been kind. It's not as though they've been bad breaks and they've not been kind. They've just been breaking big and just going awkward in little clusters around the table. His last break, he did foul off the break, but it was still a good split. Neil actually run it out as a reverse dish. I think Neil will be sat there very frustrated simply because he had an opportunity there to go 2 frames in front.
Number 9.
I think the shot clock just caught him out a fraction there, and he just rushed a couple. You almost have to rush a couple at 15 seconds.
4-all. Massive break, needs a ball, gets one. Oh, golden break, would you believe it?
Frame.
Golden break. In such a funny way. I think you're pleased about that if you're Neil Raybone. Stevie Dempsey makes a golden break. That's such a brilliant reaction. He goes 5-4 up, but Neil Raybone now has 2 minutes to respond and at least tie it up, because that was a hammer of a split for Stevie Dempsey. He probably goes and wins the match. At least Neil now has a right of reply, as it were.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, you don't want to lose the frame. You don't want to see a golden break against you, absolutely. But
10.
That's better than having Stevie Dempsey go for make a ball and make a break dish, because then you've got no time. At least he has time to respond, but needs a ball.
Yeah, and he goes in off. And now Stevie Dempsey has all the cards.
Behind the break line. Time running.
He's done exactly what Stevie Dempsey did a few frames ago. jaw the white and then have it kicked into that left middle, the right middle, I should say.
You could just see Stevie there looking up to his left. There's a big clock there for the players. And that's what he was looking at, just watching the clock beat down. He's going to do this every single shot. No worries about trying to make the clearance, although he probably will go close to making the clearance, because this is laid out pretty simple for him.
Yeah, and yellows are all there as well. Difficult pots, but should Neil get to the table with 30 seconds, for example, he's still a decent chance. So Stevie knows he has to be professional about this.
Yeah, that was slightly loose. Needed the cue ball to come down a fraction more. I think he's just about okay. Might have to come across twice across the table. I don't know if he can just about hold.
Had an extension as well, of course, which just chews an extra 15 seconds. He's been very sensible with the way he's managed his time. He's handled the 15-second shot clock, I must say, very, very well.
Yeah, and he also wouldn't have played too many timed matches, so he's actually handled that element of it as well, the sort of match clock, the way he's using the clock and waiting for the beeps. And I think he's now comfortable with the fact that even if he missed here, Neil has not got time to make the clearance, and we'll just go ahead and finish the frame off.
Yeah, going to be academic anyway. What a win this is for the Irishman Stevie Dempsey. Yeah, go and finish it now. He doesn't even want it. Neil Raybone's going to concede. That will do it. Stevie Dempsey wins through 5-4 against the Razor Neil Raybone. There's such a big moment in it. What a brilliant reaction that is from Stevie. Rightly, absolutely delighted.
Can you get me a glass of ice water, please? Yeah, can you do this?
Stevie Dempsey, first time I've seen him on Free Sports, and he's got a win over Neil Raybone. Those are the stats at the end of the match. It was slow to get going. I tell you what, in those last 10 minutes, Simon, Stevie Dempsey came to life almost.
Yeah, no, that was a slow burner to begin with at the match. It was just the way the balls run. But once both players got into it, we saw some great finishes from the break from very awkward positions. Looked like Neil was going to edge himself in front, missed an opportunity. Stevie responded, but the match really came down to one shot, and that was the golden break.
Yeah, that's the difference it can make. Commiserations to Neil Raybone, but Stevie Dempsey goes through into the last 32. He will play the winner of our next match as Arfan Dad takes on Brian Halcrow. That's next. Welcome back to the Ultimate Pool Masters here on Free Sports. We are almost ready to go with our second match of the night. Congratulations to Stevie Dempsey. He will face the winner of this one as Arfan Dad, the daddy, takes on Brian Halcrow. Buzzer. Arfan Dad then against Brian Halcrow. Two very happy gentlemen, as you can see there. Both lovely lads, speaking to them both earlier. Both very happy to be here. Both really looking forward to it, as they should. Great opportunity for them both to really plant a flag in the ground in this tournament. If they can get through to tonight's final, take on Stevie Dempsey. Every opportunity to create a bit of a stir. Brian Halcrow breaking first, and he's made a ball, but he's got a tricky start to this finish here. White ball ending up on the bottom cushion, and that's going to be tough for him.
Yeah, decent opening break there for Brian. One of the things we saw him in the previous competition in Champions League, he didn't break particularly well, and that really hurt him. So definitely the break's something to keep an eye on for Brian. Similar to the opening match of the night, tricky starter. Messy little congested centre of the table.
Yeah, horrible opening pot. And I don't think Brian actually will be overly upset about missing that, because he's left a really difficult table for Arfan here. Not obvious which colour set you'd like to go to. Both have their pretty big problems. 8 ball's not easy.
Well, Brian was playing, I believe, for this red into the left centre pocket. He just missed the pot into the right centre by so far. So definitely a chance here for Arfan. And reds would be my choice if the 2 reds at the top of the table go independently of each other. He may have to take the one nearest the pocket first, which means having a good angle on it to be able to play onto the other one. It still needs a good shot to open up the couple in the middle of the table as well. That's not the worst shot that Arfan's played. He opened things up to a point. He's not happy with the angle he's left on the red to the top left. Problem he has here, if he takes the red to the right centre, he can't play on the next red. If he takes the red to the top left, he can't play on the next ball as well.
One thing's for sure, it's a fiddly little start to the match, this. I think both players in an ideal world would love the chance of a lovely open attempt at a run out in their opening frame. This is not that. Arfan, if he is to take these out, will have to do it very precisely and very particularly. But on the flip side of that, if he does manage to do it, sets him up great for the rest of this match.
Yeah, it does, but it's getting harder and harder, and so it looks very unlikely we're going to see a finish in this visit. I think this red does go to the bottom left-hand corner, but you can't land on the reds at the top of the table. Just wondering what the angle is, if he could screw back. Is he going off the side cushion into them?
Call.
Wouldn't be ideal, but play it with some pace, try and make something happen.
Not obvious this at all. You have to play it quick. To add insult to injury, he's gone in off.
Ball in hand. Time
Even
running.
with an extension, I don't think he ever got around to solving the problem.
No, I think eventually the time beat him. He just hadn't decided what to do. Couldn't work out how he was going to get into those reds. He was actually straighter than I thought. He couldn't quite get into the side cushion enough to open it up and up the reds, and yeah, couldn't see a safety shot. So in the end, just tried to pop that ball, come up the table, and work something out in the next 45 seconds. But goes in off and really makes things easier for Brian. Gets to put his cue ball wherever he wants, and all the yellows are now opened up for him.
Yeah, we talked about the start that you want in your first frame. Actually, if you're Brian, this is exactly what he was wanting. And I mentioned earlier when he turned the table over after that opening missed pot that he sort of, I don't think he'll mind it too much. And this is why that was a difficult clearance for Arfan. And I think if you're Brian in that situation, say, well, if you go and take a difficult clearance out, then, you know, fair play. But I reckon it's a tricky one. And he knows every shot that Arfan went into that clearance, it was more and more likely that, weirdly, that Brian was going to win the frame.
Yeah, sometimes you just sat in your chair thinking this is, you almost can sense when your opponent's going to make a mistake or when it's building, and that was definitely one of those. And yeah, it's amazing. Brian misses a ball with his opening shot, but gets rewarded with a nice easy chance off the back of it, really. Because if he had made that ball into the centre, he was the one that was probably going to end up chasing that finish and not make it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, agree, totally. One thing's for sure about this shot clock is the 15 seconds won't phase Brian Halcrow. Buzzer, his nickname, he got that because of his penchant as a youth for sprinting around the table.
Oh, wow.
If you can believe it. He's mellowed a little bit in his experienced years, shall we say. He's telling me earlier.
He's been around the game a long, long time. He's made hard work of this. Nearly missed that previous ball to the point where I thought it actually stayed on the table. But he has left himself a horrible 8-ball.
Yeah, he has made a little bit of a dog's dinner of this one, Brian.
I suspect he'll be playing this one fairly pocket weight, because he's not going to be leaving anything on if he misses, and if he leaves the 8-ball over the corner pocket, then he should still win the frame from it. But
referee Scott Price, eagle-eyed, or mile off it. But I think you're right. I think the way that he played that, again, sort of similar to that first shot of the frame, he doesn't particularly mind, really, because I don't think a double is on for it here for Arfan. Or maybe the one on the right actually doubles, but big odds against making it.
I think the double is on. I think it looks very, very tight from our main camera angle, but if it does go, he can control the white onto the last one, but he'll just be happy to have a shot at it.
That's close. That's brilliant. Well played.
Yeah, that's a huge shot. I know we're in the first frame of the match, but that could be absolutely massive. That was a really bad error from Brian not to take that finish out.
Yeah, he'll be really disappointed, for sure. Because whilst, obviously, we talked about, you know, he'll be relatively pleased to maybe give away a couple of chances in that game. It wasn't the end of the world. He had to win that frame from that visit that he had. It was all there for him. And it's a disappointing one. If you Brian Halcrow, for sure. Arfan Dad then takes the first frame. The player from Keighley, Chris Melling's neck of the woods. Those two played in. And similar to Chris Melling, actually, he plays all kinds of cue sports. He's a big 9-ball player. As you can see there, the 5-time GB 9-ball challenge winner. He's won some good competitions in 8-ball as well. That Savannah tournament there in 2019 is a who's who, really. Everyone enters the competitions up at Savannah's.
Yeah, and also Chinese 8-ball plays plenty out there. So definitely mixes up, and that's not easy to do. We talk about it a lot when we see Chris Melling playing. It's difficult to change codes, different size tables, different size balls.
Yeah, for Chris Melling, different size cues as well.
Yeah. With Chris, he seems to change his cue fairly regularly when he sticks to one code anyway.
Brian Halcrow, very interested observer there. Sneaking around the back, another cut break. Both players favouring that, and Brian with the first chance in this frame, and this is another good opportunity. Had a tough chance and then a very good chance in the last frame, took neither.
Yeah, and it was such a good chance, that second one. That's one where the reds are out of the way. You absolutely know you should be making the clearance when you're playing at the level that Brian plays at, and so that's one that could really get in his mind if he doesn't make, the next couple of, or doesn't take either of the next couple of chances he gets, then all of a sudden you could be thinking about that first one and how you've, kind of the mistakes you're making. So for me, it's important for Brian to forget about that and respond with a good visit to the table here and level the scores up.
Yellow ball's in play.
Although it's not easy. Yellow at the top left, a problem ball. Even the yellows in the bottom of the table just need to be taken in a good order.
Yeah, again, it's not obvious, this, is it? Looks like the double first up. Not to be. Arfan Dad then with another chance.
Misses the double, but at least he's taken the double now. He's taken the double nice and early. He hasn't waited. He hasn't tried to get a better angle to try and move it or move, keep the problem on the table longer, because he could easily have played other yellows to start off with and then go back up there. But you play the double early, because if it goes in, you've got a great chance to win the frame. If it doesn't go in, at least there's lots of traffic here for Arfan with his chance on reds. The red nearest the bottom right-hand corner is a problem ball.
Yeah, and again, he's got a lot of sort of traffic to navigate in the middle of that table too.
Oh, lovely positional shot.
Yeah, really clever.
Yeah, punches it in just to widen that angle, land on the red into the centre pocket. That was the ball that I think Brian was probably pinning his hopes to getting back to the table on.
Arfan just looks a little bit more assured out there than Brian at the moment, doesn't he?
Yeah, I've got a feeling we could be talking about that double he made in the opening frame when we're reviewing the match at the end. Could be setting the tone for this match. Long way to go, of course.
He's played some good shots as well. There was another really well played positional shot. I think he's just about got enough angle to swing around if he wants. But I suppose if he wanted to screw straight back, he could.
Yeah, it's just almost that slightly awkward angle where it's a shade too much just to come straight back, and it's not quite enough to go across to the right-hand side. Has to make a decision. Tries to punch it across and just about far enough. Take this to the corner.
Three all in the same pocket. Arfan Dad cruising up 2-0.
Frame.
That's a really good clearance, that from Arfan. It's a bad miss from Brian to let him in, but Arfan really made the most of it. Here he is then. The man from South Shields, Brian Halcrow. That Peridon 7mm cue. He's using a pencil.
Yeah, that's very small, isn't it? A lot of players will use something around 8mm, but 7 is very, very small.
Yeah, you really notice it when in person as well, let me tell you. But he's got a great record as Brian. He has been a World Championship semi-finalist in the past as well. He's won Pro Tour events as well. World Doubles finalist.
Third frame.
As well, and that's in recent years. So he's got a real consistency about him. And when he's at his best, he can compete with just about anybody.
Yeah, and one of his big weapons is he has that belief that he can compete with absolutely anybody. He believes that if he plays
unlucky.
well, that is unlucky. So if he plays well, he believes he's capable of winning any tournament he enters, which is half the battle at times. But he started off this tournament pretty poorly.
Yeah, that'll be a tough one for him to take. He's just unlucky there to not contact the white off anything at all, and for it to go all the way up the table like that is just unlucky. And Arfan here with another opportunity, well, another first opportunity I should say, but this isn't a particularly easy one. That bottom of the table in particular is awkward. Is he going to go after it straight away?
It looks like he wants the yellows. I think the two yellows at the bottom of the table, they do look awkward, but I think they are. It's easier to solve it than they look. As long as you leave angle on the one on the cushion, and that's almost perfect. Pop the one along the cushion, and you can cannon into the other one, while staying on the yellow over the bottom left-hand corner pocket, or the one over the left-hand centre. So just needs to move the yellow far enough to be past those reds. In the end, he decided not to go for the finish and just play the safety shot. Slightly surprised by that, if I'm honest, when you look at the lay of the rest of the table.
Yeah, a little bit.
You look at the rest of the yellows, and you know, it was only the one that we were talking about him moving was the problem.
I think, just from looking for this main camera, Brian's left that yellow now very awkward, because I think the red covers it to the bottom right, I think. If it does, Yeah, which I think it does. It's quite a clever little shot, that, from Brian. Not a foul. If you're new to these rules, you can put your opponent's ball, as long as you play a legal shot of your own in doing so, and Brian, in playing the red first there, did. Just to clear out that pocket and give himself a tactical advantage.
Yeah, and he did well not to move, because he was playing the red away from the yellow, so he's done well not to move the red too far. This time slightly loose safety from Arfan, wanted the cue ball behind that red to limit Brian's options. I'm not sure if he can do anything off the red nearest the left centre, whether he can...
So he's looking at it, isn't he?
Yeah. If not, he could just brush off that red and leave the cue ball on the bottom cushion.
Oh, nearly.
In the end, he did a bit of both. He wanted to open up that, or clear open that pocket, and play the cue ball back to the bottom cushion. If he gets the cue ball right on the bottom cushion, then the yellow over the corner pocket doesn't go. So it was clever thinking that from Brian. I think the cue ball's just bounced a shade too far for him.
And Arfan's managed that cue ball very, very well. Been impressed with Arfan so far, I must say. I think he's been brilliant. Not had particularly easy chances, but his cue ball controllers look good. A couple of clutch pots at big moments as well.
Yeah, the only mistake that Arfan's really made so far in this match was just chasing that finish in the opening frame. Left himself awkward and couldn't work out what to do, and it cost him a foul. Should have cost him the frame, and it didn't. Needs to leave a good angle here to be able to go up for that 8 ball. So easy to leave yourself awkward on the 8 and not win the frame where you feel like you should. And that angle's not bad at all.
He's had really good cue ball control so far for me. That first frame aside, which I think will give him the benefit of the doubt because it was a very difficult finish. Had some good shots within that frame though. But since then, he seems to have settled really well, and actually his cue ball control's been razor sharp.
That was a better shot than it really looked as well. If you play that one with just top spin, and you could so easily end up behind those reds. He punched it in. Almost a bit more of a stun run through to make sure he got the cannon on the red. Brilliant shot.
And Arfan Dad is rolling here in the Masters. We've had quarters 1 and 2. Here is quarter 3. John Chambers adding himself to that list last week. Bit of a shock when you looked at that group from the get-go, but actually when you watch the performances on the night, John Chambers absolutely brilliant in getting through that group. Shane Thompson gave him a real scare though in that final. And that last 4 from that round, the last 16 as it is it's all set to be another cracker. Craig Waddingham against John Chambers, almost a bit of a throwback match in a way. Both have such fantastic historical records and both played so well in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, that performance for me from Craig Waddingham was as good as we've seen from anybody in the tournament so far.
Oh, undoubtedly.
We've seen some brilliant performances so far. Really pleased for John to see him get through last week, but you know, I've seen him play for a number of years, and it wasn't much of a surprise to me, or I'm sure many in the pool world, but I think we haven't seen much of him here on Free Sports, and we've seen a lot of Aaron Davis, who was in that group, so it was a little bit of a surprise to not see him go deeper. But one thing is for sure, I'm really looking forward to seeing that match between John and Sean.
Yeah, me too. And they'll play the winner of Simon Fitzsimmons and Gav Robinson as well. And Simon Fitzsimmons, by the way, almost in a low-key sense, because his group maybe wasn't as exciting, or I don't know, but his group actually, at least on paper, is one of the toughest groups that he's come out of, because Chris Day, still to this time at the moment, has a phenomenal record, and he beat him in the final. Chris Day has the best break to dish ratio of anyone in the tournament. Simon Fitzsimmons beat him and is, I think, second in that overall category. It was such a high quality week. That's a brilliant matchup, that him against Gav Robinson. Whoever comes out of that to go into the semi-final will be very, very tough to beat.
Yeah, for sure. Simon seemed to start that week quite slowly, but built.
Didn't he warm up though?
Yeah, built and built and built, and we've seen some great stuff from Simon here on Free Sports.
Foul.
Foul's being called, so the mistakes continue to build here for
Ball in hand.
Brian.
Time running.
Yeah, Scott Price had the best possible look at this, didn't he?
I think he must just feather the yellow. Yeah, you could just see the yellow move.
He was right on top of it with Scott, and I think we could all see from the replay that it was the right decision. Tough on that for Brian. Again, actually made a really good pot, which would be the frustrating thing.
When Brian was preparing for tonight, this is about as poor a start as he could have worried about, really. He just hasn't got going at all. Started with that really easy chance in the opening frame, and a great chance to mop up after Arfan missed. We've seen matches turn around though. We've seen players suddenly find some form, and it can easily happen when a player lets you off the hook. And it's important from Arfan and his side of the table here that he doesn't do that to Brian. He's got Brian right where he wants him, and Brian is struggling out there. If Arfan can finish another one here, go 4-0 in front, keep that pressure on.
Well, it's exactly what you were talking about, isn't it?
Yeah.
Exactly what you were talking about. It's still on for him. But you noticed the body language. As soon as he played that shot, he was annoyed because this hasn't come out exactly as he wanted it to at all.
Yeah, he was expecting a much fuller contact on that ball in the middle of the table. Pressure on this now.
Would still expect to make it. Oh, he's a long way off in the end. I thought he'd go much closer, I must say.
I did
Let
too.
off for Brian Halcrow.
I still thought he'd pot this. Has he got away with it though? Does this cut back? Can he see enough of it? I'm sure if he can see enough of it, it does cut back.
Yeah, good shot.
Not massive visit to the table here for Brian Halcrow. If he's going to get anything out of this match, he needs to take these out. Hasn't landed with a nice angle on anything. The best ball to take to make the clearance would probably be the one to the top left-hand corner, but I think we've already talked about Brian is not feeling his best out there. Well,
Yeah, just needs a bit of a nerve settler, doesn't he?
if this goes in, it certainly will be a nerve settler. Brilliant shot from Brian. It's fantastic that he's taken that shot on, the shot that was going to win in the frame. Could easily have gone a different way there.
That should just bolster his confidence for sure. That was a tough shot, and he has made it. It's game back on now, I think.
And there it is. Brian Halcrow is on the board. Let off the hook in that frame by Arfan Dad. And that could be a big moment in this match. Arfan will feel like he should have gone 4-0 in front, missed the can in the middle of the table, allowed Brian to get that frame on the board. We can now go to Stephen Jameson, who is with Stevie Dempsey.
Yeah, the two Stevies chatting back to back. Steve, congratulations first of all on the win. That must have been really pleasing for you, because Doesn't get much tougher as a first-round opponent than Neil Raybone. You must be delighted.
Yeah, very happy with the win. It was a pretty good match, I think, from maybe 1-all. The second frame took probably 20 minutes or close to it anyway. So I was getting a bit worried.
Halcrow
Pretty scrappy, and I wasn't really sure of the right shots to play tactically. I missed one or two at the start, but I think from 1-all it was like not really too much missed. A lot of good finishes, I think.
It was tough for both of you to get into the match with just the way the lies came out.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it wasn't like they were easy finishes. The balls were going scrappy-ish at times, like. But yeah, I'm happy to get over the line.
How pleased were you with how you approached that final 10 minutes? Because when the 15-second shot clock came in, you seemed to come to life, and you seemed to handle it really, really well. Yeah,
it was something that I'd thought about before coming over. That if I had got a lead, that I'd not be rushing at and trying, like, you know, just sort of if I had to tie things up if I was a frame ahead. So it was something I was thinking about before the match. Yeah, no, it was like it's hard to really think what the shot is, but you're nearly down on the shot and you're thinking about the next shot already, you know. So it's, but yeah, it was good though.
Handled it beautifully, mate. We wish you all the very best luck in tonight's final.
Thank you.
Right to you, Si.
Well, great to hear from Stevie as he awaits the winner of this match for tonight's group final. Break still not really working out for Brian. I think Arfan's just about landed on this red to the centre. Excellent positional shot, not much margin for error there, and that was a difficult ball to land on. In fact, his hardest ball left on the table.
Yeah, just settled down to see where that white ended up, and that's a phenomenal shot from Arfan Dad. Level of precision required was, well, very, very high.
It's been a good response to the mistake he made in the previous frame.
Yeah, I was just thinking that, but also it's a bit of a killer if you're Brian Halcrow sat in your seat. I've just made a really good finish. You feel like you're in the game, and Arfan in the next frame goes and takes it away from you.
Yeah, you make that finish to get yourself going. Great shot at the rail for him as well to really settle him down, and then all of a sudden you break dry and Arfan takes out a great finish.
Yeah, brilliant reverse dish from Arfan Dad. He goes even further in front. Brian Halcrow's got his work cut out here as we head to break. Welcome back to the Masters here on Free Sports. Brian Halcrow back in the game here. Arfan Dad breaking dry in the break, and Brian Halcrow in that time has gone and finished off a really good reverse dish. Needed that, and this game is still very much in the balance, Simon. It was a frame that if it had gone Arfan's way, you'd have been sort of fearing for Brian, but actually he's now right back in the mix. If he can get his own break going, he's got half a chance here, because the breaks have let both players down so far. Arfan's not made a ball off any of his 3 breaks so far. 4-2 up.
I agree. Brian's still very much in this match. You know, that last visit he took out to go to get his first frame on the board has really settled him down, because that's the second time he's touched the table, the first time he's touched the table since that frame, and he managed to get the reverse dish. So, and it was a good reverse dish as well. He had to work the cue ball around well, and it's probably his best break of the match as well to follow it. So Brian is back up and running here, and as you've just said, Arfan isn't breaking well, so there's opportunity here for Brian to get back in this. Couple of problems whichever colour set he goes. I think yellows are probably easier to solve than the reds. It looks like he's eyeing up the reds. Right, if that red, you see the red in between the yellows nearest the 8 ball, if that red goes, then I can see why he's going reds. And it looks like from our main camera angle that red does go. The only red that might not might be that one nearest the left-hand side cushion.
Yeah, called his extension and then rerouted. That's what it's there for. He's used that perfectly. And as we head into the final 16 minutes of this match, potentially a little bit of a swing frame here for Brian Halcrow. Lose it, he's in big trouble. Win it, and he's getting back on.
Just looking at the red on the side cushion, just wondering if he's going to try and move it or if whether he wants to just leave it there and back himself to make that double. If he tries to move it, he may not be on another ball from it. The double's definitely the more controllable way, although he's thinking about this red off the yellow, which would also open it up.
It's tough either way, though. This isn't an easy clearance at all.
Has to play it with enough pace to move the yellow out the way. Oh, he's done well.
Managed to play it with just enough pace to move the yellow, but with enough control to hold the white. That was a difficult balance to strike.
Yeah, now he's moved it. It's difficult to land. It's still difficult to land on that red. He hasn't got the angle to do it off this one to the right centre. And if he leaves the one at the bottom of the table, he has to get away from those yellows. So still work to be done. I think he's just going to come straight back, get out of the way of the yellows and leave himself a difficult pot down the cushion. Oh, he's missed the pot by a distance. Cued right across that one.
Yeah, by a long way.
Yeah, it was a poor shot from Brian.
Just something like that, I suppose. It does come down to something being as simple as just cueing it badly.
Yeah, that for me, that's all that one was. Just cued it badly. Probably wasn't happy with the route he took, actually. I think he worked out how he was going to open up the ball for that red. Or that's a poor shot from Arfan. Wow, what a let-off for Brian. Don't think there's any real thought to the double here. This is just a safety shot. And he just did not get into the white at all. Okay, he may not lose the frame off it. One red goes, the other one doesn't. He's looking to see whether he can play a similar shot to the one he played before, but this is an awful lot harder to play this red off the red that's nearer the pocket.
Yeah, this is very tough.
And even if he pulls it off, there's no guarantee this red comes out. Brilliant.
Oh, what a good shot. Does it cut, though?
It's thin. It is very thin. It's amazing to be able to make a shot as precise as that, and yet he's missed the straight pot to the corner the previous visit.
Yeah, amazing, isn't it? Absolutely amazing. But that's how it goes sometimes. It's a really tough shot now for Brian. He deserves to be left with an easier shot than this. This is really difficult. Oh, good shot. But is that yellow going to block the pocket? Well, Brian Halcrow's just given you the answer. That's so unlucky.
Yeah, that really is. He's probably played into the yellow on purpose to hold the cue ball, and it's gone to the one place he did not want it. He's looking at cutting this to the bottom right-hand corner. He's got to be careful with the cue ball here. It could be very close to the left-hand middle off the yellow.
What's he got to lose? Oh, it's a good effort. Brutal game at times. Really is a brutal game.
Two opportunities in this frame for Brian, not able to take either of them, although that second one was very, very difficult.
I think he did all he could.
Yeah,
I think if he'd have made that last pot with the 8 ball, then you're just talking about an outstanding finish. I don't think you'd be too harsh on him for missing that shot. The shots he played before that were brilliant.
He's probably still thinking about the miss straight pot to the corner, though.
So am I.
Yeah. Now, Arfan's got one ball to work out, but he's got options. He could play this yellow off the 8 ball to the bottom right-hand corner. That would just open up the pocket, or he could play the yellow to the bottom left-hand corner and play into the yellow that's causing the problems.
Well, he talks about this frame being a potential swing frame, and if you're Arfan Dad, he'll be hoping it is. Going 5-2 up at this juncture would be potentially big moment as we head in towards the 15-second shot clock. He'll do, I think. He's okay. I think even if he didn't want to take that yellow to the middle, he's still got other options too.
Yeah, that came out nicely. For a second there, I thought the yellow was going to just land awkward, but it just rolled far enough to leave it to the centre pocket. He'll be happy. And that's not the worst cannon either.
Two shots away from a 3-frame lead. And Arfan Dad is creeping closer to tonight's final, and that sound tells us that when we come back, it'll be a 15-second shot clock time. This is what we've still got to look forward to in this event. We've already seen Stevie Dempsey qualify tonight. Next week, I can tell you, Omar Munshid will not take on Carl Boys. He's unfortunately had to withdraw. Cian Monaghan is his replacement. Really good young player. Looking forward to seeing Cian play. Scott Gillespie against John Rowe in a battle of the former world champions is one of the ties of the round. You speak about one of the ties of the round. Michael Hill versus Sean Chipperfield. Clear your diary. Whatever you got on that evening, 6:30 in 2 weeks' time, be there. You do not want to miss that.
Yeah, a massive, massive match. We talk a lot about the ties of the round. That's as good as anything we have seen so far. Two former world champions.
Sean Chipperfield's in form as well. He got to the semi-finals, I think, at one of the tour events this weekend. And I was just kept an eye on some of the players we've still got to see in this competition, in that event, see where they were, because it's been so long since we've seen plenty of them. Seeing Sean go deep in that tournament, I thought, oh yeah, this is on. We're going to have a good time.
Yeah, for sure. They both play with great style as well. Michael's one of the greatest to ever play the game. The way he goes about it is absolutely fantastic. Great patterns and just a great all-round player. Sean is very entertaining to watch.
Yeah, just ruthless, naked aggression from Sean Chipperfield against the sort of perfectionist play from the machine, Michael Hill.
Just wondering whether the 15 seconds a shot is just going to free up Brian a fraction.
I've seen that happen a few times in this tournament, I must say.
I think the reds go independently of each other, so can just drop that red into the centre pocket. Now he's on the one to the left-hand side. Should be straight enough just to hold on to the next one. Oh, he nearly missed that pot.
He nearly missed that pot.
He nearly missed it thin as well. The cue ball's just gone a fraction further than he wanted. But he's okay.
Brian Halcrow clinging on. Still got a shout. Still got a shout. 8 minutes left. It's back to a 2-frame difference. Brian Halcrow is not done yet. That was a good finish. And he's got the next break as well. Just get the sense that he really needed that.
Yeah, excellent second reverse dish in the match for Brian at the time where he really, really needed it as well. To me, it just highlights how important that missed straight pot in the previous frame was. This could be 4-4 other than that pot. know things don't always work out the same if that gone in, but it's,
Arfan Dad just checking his step counter as he goes around the table.
yeah, perhaps he's just adding up how many balls he's managed to make from the break.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, so far 4 breaks, 4 dry.
Yeah, keep them coming.
Yeah.
Any more for any more? That 8 balls in motion towards the pocket, and Brian's not going to make a ball. He goes dry this time, so now Arfan Dad needs to get off Facebook and gets the table.
Yellow ball's in play.
I think Arfan's sensing this is the moment. If he can take this out, get himself back to 3 frames in front, that will be job done. And these are laid out really nicely for him. Probably as good a layout as we've seen following a break.
Extension call.
Just wants to leave a nice angle to be able to come up the table. Might be a smidgen straight. I'd love to just have enough angle just to punch up the centre of the table where the big gap is. Might just have that.
Yeah, I think he's got it. Yeah, he's okay. He's looked smoother, hasn't he, in this match, Arfan Dad? I think if you're doing the sort of eye test of both players, you'd say he deserves to be in front. He's played the better. And Brian Halcrow hasn't gone away yet, and Arfan Dad needs to put him away here. This is a good chance to go pretty close to doing that.
Yeah, for me, Arfan hasn't played that bad. He's made that one mistake where he should have gone, what would it have been, 4-0 up instead of 3-1. Other than that, he's played a pretty good match. It's just his break hasn't been working.
Frame.
There we go. Arfan Dad goes 6-3 up, 2 from home. He may well get there. It'll be impressive if he does. Before the 0, but 3 frame difference now for Brian Halcrow. He's almost at the stage now where it's all over, but what he does need is another favour off the Arfan Dad break. And he almost needs to be perfect. It's not over yet, but it is almost.
You just have to keep believing, though. If you're in Brian's position, we have seen some big turnarounds, some quick turnarounds. 6 minutes is still quite a long time with 15 seconds on the shot clock. Certainly long enough to win 3 frames with 3 clearances. So change to the front ball break, and finally Arfan has made a ball.
Does that finally settle the front ball versus cut break debate?
It probably does for Arfan for the rest of the night.
Yeah, I'd imagine so.
I have to be honest, he still didn't catch that break particularly well. He probably caught that front ball about half ball, but still managed to make a couple of balls.
Red ball's in play.
Decent chance here on reds, no clusters, nothing to work out. Just again, all about the route, very similar to the previous frame. And it could well be the same thing. The shot that coming from this time it'll be the top of the table to the bottom of the table. If that lands, it could be fairly simple.
Yeah, he's just got those 4 yellows almost as a bit of a minefield to get around in doing so. But he's left himself a good angle here to be able to do that without any real problem. And 7-3 really would chalk it.
Extension call.
It would make life a lot easier for him if the 2 reds on the right hand side, if the top one went past the one on the cushion, but I don't think it does. It just makes the next positional shot a bit more precise. Slumps his shoulders, tells me the red doesn't go, and he hasn't gone far enough across.
He's got the red by the 8 ball now, I think is his only option. I don't think that red at the top goes. He's looking at the plan. That's a time foul for sure. Well, Brian Halcrow.
Ball in hand.
Here's your chance.
Time running.
Arfan's had a little touch there. Both 2 reds have gone and blocked the 8 ball. The first thing that Brian has to do is develop the 8 ball, and the first thing he does there is snooker himself because of it. That was a little bit fortunate for Arfan.
Yeah, he's got away with one. Brian's not got a lot of time to figure this out. Relying on a bit of luck, potting a yellow there off the cushion. It's not going to be.
And he's had the opposite as well. Yes, he hasn't left an easy pot on for Arfan, but he has knocked a yellow safe. So if Arfan does miss this one down the rail, it's not going to be easy for Brian. And Arfan hasn't missed.
No, nor did he ever look like missing. This would all but put Brian Halcrow out. Arfan Dads is on the hill. 7-3 he leads. Just a shade under 3 minutes remain. Brian Halcrow is needing a bit of a miracle here.
Yeah, at least one golden break. The one good news he has is that at least he's getting the 8 ball in motion. He's a couple of times he's got it going quite a long distance. He really needs to find it to fall just to have any sort of opportunity, really. He's going to be very frustrated with the way he played tonight. Okay, he's taken out a couple of really good finishes later on in this match, but started off very, very slowly.
Frame 11. Brian Halcrow to break.
Should have won the opening frame on the match and didn't, and that almost set the tone.
Well, that black ball could not have remained more stationary. And he's dry again, so Arfan Dad will have the chance to go and win it. And it's one that, with the way he's been playing, you'd expect him to take. It's been an impressive display so far from Arfan Dad. One thing you would say, though, is if he's to beat Stevie Dempsey, he needs to get that break moving.
Yeah, I'd agree. You can't rely on your opponent giving you opportunities. It's very rare at this level you can win a match breaking dry 4 out of 5 times.
Just comes down to chances, doesn't it? It's something you say a lot, is that whoever gets the most chances will probably win the game. At the top level, there's so little that separates the players, it can just come down to that. And the way that Stevie played in the first game, I don't think Arfan can rely on getting the same number of chances out of him. He's gone about his work very tidily here, though, hasn't he?
He's also been benefited by the fact that Brian's also not broken particularly well, so he's still had enough first visit chances. They've just been off his opponent's break.
Arfan Dads head through to tonight's final. 8-3 victor over Brian Halcrow. He will take on Stevie Dempsey in tonight's final. Pretty clinical from Arfan Dad. Those 4 missed pots will really hurt Brian Halcrow, particularly that one that he almost miscued about halfway through that match, which sort of set the tone a little bit, didn't it, for the match in general for Brian.
Yeah, it's amazing what can happen in that first frame. It really does just set the tone for the match. That was a frame that Brian should have won. He knows he should have won it. It was a fairly routine finish after Arfan didn't take his first chance, and Arfan's balls were out the way. Once Brian had missed that, it was I thought it could be even more one-sided, but he did get back into the match and make a fight of it with a couple of really good finishes, but ultimately he left himself far too much to do. And have to say, you know, Arfan played a really solid match. We talked about the fact his break was fairly weak, but other than that, you know, pretty solid all the way through.
It certainly was, and Arfan Dad goes through to Stevie Dempsey to face him in the final. We'll hear from him, and we'll get our final underway when we come back. Welcome back to the Ultimate Pool Masters here on Free Sports. We are almost ready to go with tonight's final. What a match in prospect here. Arfan Dad getting the better of Brian Halcrow in the semi. And he takes on the might of Stevie Dempsey in tonight's final. Simon, before we get going into the arena, this is a tough one to call, but I think pedigree and maybe but also performance tonight just leans you into making Stevie a slight favourite.
I think all round, yes, because Arfan's not been breaking well, but if Arfan can find his break, I think he is playing plenty well enough in open play to certainly go ahead and win this match. Well, that's not a good start when we're talking about trying to get Arfan, or for Arfan to get his break going. Straighten off with his
He's almost right on cue there, wasn't it?
Not the easiest finish. You don't really want to take on reds. Look at the way the reds at the top are laid out, but then that yellow right in the middle of the bottom of the table is a real problem ball.
So much so, do you think you maybe try and pot that first? If it goes to the bottom left and just screw out and try and take your break on from there?
Well, the cue ball, after the break in international 8 ball rules, the cue ball has to be behind the line.
You're absolutely right. This is why you're here.
Yellow balls in play.
Absolutely spot on. Thanks for the rules reminder.
It's a really interesting point, though, because it's one of the things that a lot of players do forget when they transition across to international 8 ball rules.
Because that's absolutely what Stevie Dempsey would have wanted to do. You're absolutely correct.
And the worst thing about that...
It's a rule, actually, just before you move on to that point, it's a rule, actually, that I actually really like.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't overly punish going in off the break, which generally tends to be quite unlucky.
I think it's been one of the bigger criticisms of other rule sets is that you can get a little bit too punished from going in off the break, and that therefore some players break or try and break with more control and less power to make sure they keep that cue ball on the table, which doesn't promote open attacking pool.
It's a rather forlorn-looking Neil Raybone there, wasn't it? Wistfully looking out into the arena. He'd have loved to have been out there in tonight's final.
Extension call.
Yeah, he'll be disappointed with his match. Made a couple of mistakes. Looked like he was still going to have a chance there, but Stevie kind of took it away from him. But Neil will be back. He is fairly local to this venue as well, but we'll see him back in action at the next event.
Yeah, no doubt.
I was just going to say that the worst thing about that yellow at the bottom of the table for Stevie is it's the one, it's going to leave it till last as well. He's clearing those ones up at the top first. So he needs to play a really good positional shot coming down the table.
It helps that he's got a yellow on the way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think so. It's just that one, assuming the yellow does go to the bottom left-hand corner, it does look tight, but I'm pretty sure it does go.
But I mean, we've been wrong before when it comes to a ball like that. This camera is exceptionally deceptive at times.
Yeah, once or twice, yeah.
And this whole visit really hinges on that.
I mean, he hasn't left himself the greatest angle here, I don't think. Little bit straight, yeah, coming back with reverse side just makes the shot harder. That's okay, he'll be happy with that.
Oh, he will take that. That's a brilliant shot in the end.
Yeah.
That's what that is.
It is, considering how poor an angle he'd left himself on the ball at the top of the table. It's absolutely not how he wanted to play it.
So here goes his chance to get this yellow off the table. Needs another bit of good cueing, and he's found it.
If he's straight enough, he'll take this to the top left-hand corner because it's the easiest way to stay on the 8 ball.
Checking the cue up a little bit again. That's another really good pot. So one thing you would say about Stevie's performance in that match against Neil Raybone, he alluded to it in his interview actually, that he didn't really get too much by way of chances, but when he was in and amongst the balls, he's a premium potter, as anyone who'd have a CV that looks like this, you'd expect them to be. He's outstanding. Yeah,
he did make, we talked about it a bit. The start of that match was just really awkward. It was just wasn't going to be open. It was just the breaks were good, but the splits weren't, and you had to wait for those opportunities. But when he did get those opportunities, he took them out really well. Made very few mistakes in that first match, and really started to heat up towards the end.
Stevie Dempsey to right.
He said to Arfan in that opening frame of this match, he's going to get punished for those dry breaks in this match.
Yeah, which he wasn't always in the match against Brian. That's a point we were talking about a little bit earlier. I suppose with... Also something I just wanted to mention is just looking at that bio, I was just doing some quick cigarette paper maths. I knew Stevie Dempsey had been around a little while, but I didn't realise he was 19 when he won that European title in 2007.
Yeah, very...
In that sort of field is an unbelievable achievement.
Yeah, very impressive, been around a long time. It's tough for Arfan when you're struggling with the break, you can't get anything going at all, and your opponent comes up, and that was absolutely massive. They pinged open for him. I have to say, it hasn't worked out as a particularly good split, with a slight problem here at the bottom end of the table, but I think that the three-ball plant is on. It's just whether the yellow will come away from the red when he plays it.
It helps, I think, that the yellow to the red is pretty straight, but the red to the yellow, balls 2 and 3 in that plan, they have to go a slightly different direction. It should help that sort of natural split of the two balls.
Yeah, if it was all three dead straight in line, then they would stay in line, but it looks like they would just about be okay in terms of separating for him. Pretty sure that's how he's going to go about it. He could play on the bottom one if he wanted to. If he could play on the bottom one, leave himself an angle to come on and off the cushion and play a cannon of some sort. Cannon half ball on the red would open things up.
We could go do that now off this next shot if you wanted to. You could cut this yellow to the middle, come down the table. Don't think that's what he's planning though.
And just the way he's eyeing up the little cluster at the bottom, I think he probably is thinking about playing the one over the pocket rather than any sort of three-ball plant. Certainly it feels more controllable.
Get up to it from the ball at the top of the table, which is even better.
If he does play that shot, he's got to be careful. Catching the red full would probably leave him nothing. He almost wants to catch it half ball, maybe quarter ball, so then the cue ball slides up the table into the next red. That would leave him a shot probably to the bottom right hand corner. If it goes past that red, he'd have a shot to the middle pocket.
Whatever happens, this is the key shot in the frame. It really is. This is where this hinges. He's having a really good long look at this.
I think he's gone back to the three-ball plant. Yeah, he is going three-ball plant. He'll be happy, I think, if that yellow goes.
Try to take a little sneaky little look at his face there. Get a good look at it. Oh, I think it doesn't. At first look, it looks like it doesn't. It looks like it's tight.
It's difficult to tell from his body language. One of the things when you can't tell where the ball goes, and players do this when they're in their chair, is look at the player for the body language to see whether a ball goes. And he's not giving a huge amount away. That camera angle we just saw showed that it doesn't look like it's on. He's tried to move it, so it wasn't.
Now I'm not sure he's got a shot because I don't think the double's on. Or might it be?
possibly a treble to the bottom right-hand corner. I'm not sure if the double to the bottom left is on.
Yeah, that's the one I'm not sure of, but I think you're right. A treble might be an option. Might be his only option.
He might, if he's playing the double or the treble, he might have to play into the 8 ball, otherwise he's going to go too far up the table, which would risk potting it. Oh, he has played the double.
Oh, he's disappointed, is Dempsey. You can see that in his face as he turned away. He's a little unlucky. He gave a lot into that frame to get into the position to try and win it.
I have to say, I think there was an opportunity for Stevie to go down for that 3-ball plant earlier. If he goes down for it earlier and it doesn't come out as it didn't on this occasion, you've got more opportunity to get back down there and rework something. He may well have been thinking about the other option of playing the one over the pocket first with more control and didn't quite land on the angle he wanted, which is why he ended up playing the 3-ball plant. But we do talk about it a lot, that players like to go after their tough ball as early as possible, solve their problems, and then mop them up.
Well, there's going to be no errors here, is there? Can't imagine so.
There shouldn't be, but whenever there's one on the cushion, you don't want to frame in the match. There's pressure on him out there.
Yeah, I suppose with it being a different match, you sort of have that to bear in mind, don't you? That your nerves might have settled from that first game, but all of a sudden it's a final and you've got another opponent to beat, and sort of the lure of winning is there too. Different thing altogether.
Excellent double from Arfan, and job done.
There he goes, nice and easily done. So 1 each after 2. Stevie Dempsey with the chance to make it 2-0, couldn't get over the line. And the man from Keighley, to Daddy, and ties things up. Dangerous player is Arfan Dads.
We talked about his playing different cue sports, and you can see there on his achievements, there's 3 different cue sports. 9-ball and then English 8-ball, and then then Chinese 8-ball. The bottom one there, the German
Third
Open
frame.
finalist.
After that to break, 1 frame more.
Chinese 8-ball and international 8-ball rules are very, very similar. So the rule sets and the tactics of the game are very well known to our fan. Played these rules a huge amount.
It's a much better break, but again, he's not been rewarded, and he's been a little bit unlucky. He's hit these really, really well. Not a lot he can do there. And that's a surprising miss.
Yeah, tough pot that, but we've pretty much seen Stevie make everything he's gone for tonight, so whenever he misses, it is going to be a bit of a surprise. Arfan jumped out of his chair though, racing out there to see what he's looking at.
Stevie making himself at home. Looks very comfortable out there.
Good angle here for Arfan just to develop the 1 bad ball on the top cushion. And he hasn't managed to do so, although it might sneak past the yellow to the top right-hand corner. He could play it now, but it's thin.
Yeah, that's a really tough shot, isn't it?
If it goes, he probably should play it now.
It's on your own time, Arfan. Yeah. Sure.
I wasn't aware of this change of rule, but I'm a big fan of it. The fact that when you ask for a ball to be cleaned, the clock does not stop, so it is on the player's time. Big fan of that. I often questioned it. I'd never seen a player use it to their advantage, but whilst you could get the clock stopped when the balls were being cleaned, it was always open for abuse. Not for 1 second saying I've seen a player do it, but that rule no longer applies.
What a great pot, by the way.
Yeah, fantastic pot.
Really, really good shot. And now this frame has opened right up. That previous positional cannon, whilst it didn't quite go to plan fully, it did work enough for Arfan Dad to progress through this frame. Still a little bit of legwork to do.
Yeah, still has one by his hand that he needs to land nicely on and pot down the rail. Might be playing for it now. I think he was playing for it now, and he's still going to look at it. I don't think he has much choice.
No, I don't.
I don't think he's on the red by his hand now.
It's another great pot. He's played those shots down the rail so well. Been a consistent factor through this night for Arfan.
Yeah, he killed the white beautifully as well.
Tough shot to judge. Judged it perfectly.
Yeah, now he has the lovely little angle just to top through. The cue ball will be tracking towards the 8-ball. Plenty of margin for error. 8-ball to the top corner. Although he's just got into it too much topspin, and left himself hampered queuing. This 8-ball's gone from being a fairly simple straight pot to a really awkward shot.
Yeah, this is actually now a really tough shot.
I could see him taking this to the top right-hand corner now if he wanted to. Just more of an open pocket. No, he is still going to go top left.
What a good shot. He's played some serious pots in that visit, Arfan Dad. Brilliant clearance. Outstanding. And he takes the lead.
Yeah, punished 2 mistakes from Stevie Dempsey, Arfan Dad. That's what you've got to do. Punish the mistakes. Especially when you're struggling to make anything off your own break.
Frame number 4, Stevie Dempsey to break. Trailing 2 frames to 1.
Stevie Dempsey caught a hammer with his first break. He'd love to do the same again. Oh yes, that's a great hit. Is he about to meet the same fate as Arfan did in the last frame though, and hit a great split only to turn it over to your opponent? I think that's exactly what's just happened. He's creamed that Stevie Dempsey.
Yeah, he's really hit that break well. Look at the cue ball straight back up the centre of the table. There's a case to say that's as good as he's hit a break tonight, and he's come up dry. Such a strange game at times. Delicate plant for Arfan. Now it's gone in. What a chance this is for a reverse dish and to open up a little bit of a lead. No problems at all. Mop these ones up at the top of the table up first, come down the table, just make sure you leave yourself a nice enough angle on your last ball to drift onto the 8-ball. Nice for him that all the yellows or all but one of the yellows has drifted up to the top of the table as well, just all the traffic out the way.
this has been a quick frame for Arfan Dad. No messing about at all. Easy does it. 3-1 leads Arfan Dad. 20 minutes just shy of played in this final. And a 2-frame cushion developing. A reminder of our tournament so far. What a last 16 draw. What a first quarter this was, by the way, but what a last 16 draw lined up. Jordan Shepherd versus Chris Melling. Winner plays the winner of Phil Harrison and Rob Chilton. One of those 4 men will be a semi-finalist, and the fact that you absolutely have no idea who it's going to be, no idea at all, is brilliant. And it would not shock you if one of those 4 won the tournament. If any, or rather, if any of those 4 won the tournament.
Yeah, it would have been no surprise, you know, with another draw, that if those 4 ended up being the 4 semi-finalists, such as the standard, there's four great players, a week not to be missed.
And I love that as well. It's, you know, you got 2 of arguably the sort of all-time greats, but you've got a real sort of, the pairings are quite beautiful, aren't they? Because you've got Jordan Shepherd versus Chris Melling, you know, the wizard against the magician, 2 really similar players, attacking, creative, fluent and fluid. Then you've got the sort of older stages in Phil Harrison and Rob Chilton, the technicians, those who are just bulletproof, solid players. Different era slightly. Just can't wait.
Yeah, brilliant as well. You clash of styles, if you like, between the top 2 and bottom 2, potentially. It should create for 2 fantastic last 16 matches, but also a great quarter final, whichever player comes through from those 2 matches. Arfan struggles with the break. Continue. He has made a ball this time. Unfortunately, it was the cue ball.
Yeah, quite.
You could see it on his face as well. There's just a frustration really starting to build. The fact that he's 3-1 up in tonight's final, considering how poorly the break has worked for him, is quite impressive.
And he won his last match 8-3.
And he won his last match 8-3. For me, he's still, you know, he has only really made that one big error, you know, positional error that led to a missed pot. Other than that, he's played a very good match in open play.
In the last 15 frames of pool, Arfan Dad has won 11 of them. I think he's only made a ball in 1 of his breaks, which is a ridiculous statistic.
Yeah, and I had a very brief chat with Arfan earlier on tonight, and said, "How was your form?" You know, and he said, "Pretty good in open play," and I didn't really push on it any further than that. I didn't ask him whether that was a question mark over his break or anything, but having seen how his break's gone tonight, I suspect it was.
Well, it can be a bit of a mental thing, because it's not a question of technique with Arfan. He's a wonderful player. But it can just be a bit of a mental thing, a confidence thing.
Yeah, for me, the last couple of breaks he's hit really well and actually had some good splits, but just hasn't worked out for him. Be interesting to see what he does on his next break, whether he'll change again. He has chopped and changed a little bit tonight, trying to find something that will work. Needs to go past the red. That's okay.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Just for a second there, I thought he was going to get a cannon and leave himself behind it, but full ball contact was fine. Or stayed down on that shot a fraction longer than because he thought he'd missed it. Wobbled, but it went in.
Yeah, it just wiped its feet, that one, didn't it? This one won't. No questions asked. Stevie Dempsey goes back within 1, and he has the next break as well. I'll repeat of the quarter 2 draw for you. This our second last 16 match. Carl Sutton versus Sam Bircher is a really tough one to call. Carl looked great coming through Group 5, must say. And then that second last 16 match is a barn burner. Josh Kane against Declan Brennan. Declan Brennan, one of the form players in the world at the moment. Josh Kane looked superb. Got past Flash Jordan Church, who gave him a right fright towards the end of that match. Great, one of the matches of the tournament, that for me actually. Kane against Church, must say. I think that's still just about winning my vote for match of the tournament. I think Shane Thompson gave us a pretty good run for the money last week against John Chambers, but still for my money, Kane against Church is my favourite of the tournament.
Yeah, probably just because of the finish from Jordan Church, who ultimately was out, but was brilliant to watch. Oh, Stevie's starting to make nothing off his break as well. That's a couple of dry on the trot for him.
I think it's slightly differently. If you're Stevie, you've just got to think that's just tough. So it's nothing wrong with either of those last two breaks. Technically, they've been brilliant. Nothing wrong with them at all. He's timed it really well. He's got great explosion, good cue ball. Sometimes you have to just be able to say as a player,
Extension call. That's
just bad luck. You keep doing the right things, eventually you trust that the luck will turn. With Arfan, he's definitely not making the right contacts. He's changing around. The white's a little bit loose. It's going in off. That's when you start to question, okay, maybe I need to change something. Hope Stevie doesn't, because he's breaking so well in the last two. Just sometimes just goes against you.
Yeah, it's a big question mark, isn't it, for players? When do you change? If you're breaking really well and all of a sudden they just dry up from the same spot, how long do you give it before you change? Because if you keep breaking dry from the same spot, making nothing but getting brilliant splits, you're going to lose a lot of frames. So it is one that you do need to factor in. Depends how good your sort of secondary break is. It depends whether you want to move sides of the table or whether you want to go to the second ball break. Arfan just slightly loose with his positional shot there, left himself too straight and also knocked a yellow towards a red, causing a slight problem at the top of the table. This time does he come back far enough? He wants to be on the red into the right centre pocket. Looks very tight.
Bit twitchy. Oh, that's a good pot. And Stevie knew it as well. I think you heard him call shot before it even went in the pocket. He had the perfect view.
Yeah,
that's a
right
really, really good pot.
Yeah, fantastic. It looked like he'd put himself in a little bit of bother at the start there, but back into perfect position. Just a little bit thin on this one. Just got to be careful. Make sure he avoids the yellow on the way through. Should be fine. And then it's all about pace control. Yeah, misses the first yellow.
Played it well. Arfan Dad is just quietly going about his business here. He's got his own struggles. But he's worked them out beautifully.
Frame.
4-2 as we head to break. Arfan Dad with the advantage. Welcome back. We are live with the Masters. It's still 4-2 to Arfan Dad, and he's at the table with a chance. Stevie Dempsey did have the first chance in this match. Didn't quite go his way. A loose positional shot. It was a very comfortable one as well. Bit of an aberration from Stevie. He left himself very thin on that red. Overcuts it. And here is Arfan at the table.
Yeah, very surprising from Stevie. He had a really comfortable shot into the middle pocket to just land nicely on that ball to the top left corner and just overhit it by quite a huge margin. A really surprising shot when the frame was there for him to beat one. He absolutely wanted to make sure he was high enough that he wasn't going to leave himself straight on the red to the top left corner, but he had plenty of margin of error. Just one that got away from him. Has left it awkward in terms of Arfan's going to have to do something to try and develop that yellow, but the red doesn't pop, so Arfan could play safe if he wanted to, wait for a better opportunity. That's what he's done. No thoughts for the pot there. Just covering the pocket. He was actually trying to get the cue ball behind this yellow at the bottom of the table, or behind the pack of balls at the bottom of the table. Hasn't managed to do so, but his job done. Wonder if there's some sort of double on or some way of getting into that yellow across the table. He was just playing the plant, red onto yellow. And getting the yellow away from the pocket.
This frame's got a little bit of mileage in it, I think. A really difficult problem for either to solve.
Yeah, I think Arfan is in complete control, though. I agree it's not going to solve itself quickly, but I like this. This is a good choice from Arfan. He can now play yellow onto red, and he's got an angle where he can just track the cue ball down the table anywhere behind that cluster of 4 balls at the bottom of the table. He's going to have Stevie snookered, and all his balls will go. Really good choice tactically. There we go. Needs a bit more of a bounce. May has given him just a sight of this red.
I just wonder if this doubles, yeah. Well, we saw Arfan do it in the first frame of his match against Brian Halcrow. I think Stevie is looking at that right now. I think he can do it. It's not guaranteed. I think why he's queuing it up tells me it is. Didn't get remotely close in the end. The fact that he played that angle tells me it did double, because he wanted to be closer to the right side of the ball than the left. So he could see the angle, just got nowhere near it in the end.
Yeah, just a tough shot.
Yeah, I'm saying that like it was an easy shot. It was a really difficult shot, but yeah, it was on, but couldn't quite find the execution. But yeah, absolutely correct. It was a really difficult shot. But for Arfan, a really good chance. It's remarkable. We were speaking to the resident Ultimate Pool Stats monkeys in the break, and they were telling us that Arfan has the worst percentage off the break of any player in the tournament, including, by the way, Phil the Power Taylor.
Yeah, and there's certainly one of Phil's breaks certainly did the rounds on social media.
Yeah, quite right. But he's made 5 reverse dishes.
Yeah.
Which is another crazy statistic.
The bizarre thing for Arfan is the fact that he's been breaking badly, but his opponents have as well. You know, Stevie broke really well on his opening match, but in this one, it's dried up for him as well.
Strange night. Strange night, but Arfan Dad goes 3 clear with less than 15 minutes remaining, and Stevie Dempsey needs to go. Here's quarter 3 of the Masters draw. That last 16 looking tasty. Simon Fitzsimmons, Gav Robinson is a lively tie. Craig Waddingham, one of the standout players in the tournament so far, goes up against John Chambers, which is another great match. So similar to what we were saying about the matches in the first quarter, in that stylistically quite similar, Craig and John. And if both those two bring their A games, that's going to be an absolute dish fest.
Yeah, and I think John will take a lot from his previous performance, a lot of confidence coming out of that match, and you know, he could go even further.
Stevie threw his arm through that. You can see the way that he lost the white, that he was swinging through a little bit harder than normal. He has made a ball though. Let's watch this in slow-mo. This will show us he really put everything into this. Frustration of coming out dry the last couple of occasions. Look how far that key went down the table. Wow.
Yeah, look at the grimace on his face as well. He doesn't give her much away when he's at the table. He tries to keep his emotions pretty tight, but Yeah, I think the frustration is really building
Yellow
for
balls in
him.
play.
Yeah, that was a frustration release, wasn't it? Pretty good one too. That's what happens when you throw the kitchen sink at a break. It's not always the best thing to do because, as we saw there, you lose the white, and Steve was a little bit lucky to not go in off. It was tracking towards that top left corner. Having said that, though, I will caveat that with the knowledge that his past 2 breaks have been great, and he's got absolutely no change out of them at all. So, bit of karma, perhaps.
Yeah, but as good as the break was, it's still not been a wide open split. It's almost like they've all gone up into the top half of the table, and they've all kind of got in the way of each other again. You saw quite a bit of this in his match against Neil, breaking well, but not creating great opportunities. Yellow on the top left. That's a problem to solve, and it's not an easy one to solve. You go in, if you try and cannon into it from any of the yellows left on the table, you're not going to move it anywhere. You're going to be moving it towards reds, so it's going to be very unlikely to open it up. Got an angle now, go into it if he wants to. Better shot if he can play it would be to go off the top cushion and into it, but can you generate enough pace to move it far enough down the table? And in the end, not the contact he wanted.
Yeah, just grimacing really. Not really too sure. It's a good shot, but it's not the outcome he was after. It's been a tough match so far, I think, for Stevie. It's not really going to help things. Does this yellow squeeze past the red at the top of the table? I don't think there's any way it does.
He's actually in a position here where he can play on this yellow. He can take the yellow to the top right, and he can just get the cue ball across and play on the yellow to the bottom right hand corner. That little nudge on the red in the middle of the table has left him perfect.
Oh, what a touch.
He's had to work very hard to get to this point. Needed a couple of nudges along the way as well. But this yellow goes in. Be a huge, huge moment for Stevie Dempsey.
He liked that one, didn't he? Quite right too. To go back within 2. Stevie Dempsey makes sure.
Frame.
Big frame to win. Let's have a little look at Q4 of the Masters draw. Omar Sheeds, Kian Monahan, Scott Gillespie, John Rowe. That's coming up next week. Same time, same place here on Free Sports. That is a group I really wouldn't recommend missing. That's going to be a fantastic group. Then the week after, Michael Hill, Sean Chipperfield. Winner of that plays Amin Munif and John Sullivan. Another lovely little tie. And John Kennis leading De Bono, Jimmy Croxton and Sean Sharkey round us out.
15-second shot clock.
And then we're into the knockouts. It just couldn't make it up.
Foul.
You just couldn't make
Ball
it
in
up.
hand. Line the break line. Time running.
Yeah, finally a couple of balls go down for Arfan Dad. Unfortunately, he makes a third. It's the cue ball. It's the only ball that's consistently been going down for him tonight, being that cue ball.
Extension called.
You are not wrong.
Yellow ball's in play.
What's worse from this time is how open he's left the table. He's a little short of pace, a little grimace on the face as well. Has controlled that well. Grimace was because he knew he had to move the cue ball off a couple of cushions and didn't want to get contact on that 8 ball, but managed to snick that in thin enough to control it. Pace control was perfect. He left himself off angle on this last yellow. Could have played into that red and left himself the perfect angle, but plenty of room just to screw on and off the cushion instead. Doesn't want the cue ball in.
He is rattled off this clearance. Not hanging about. Back within 1, Stevie Dempsey.
Frame.
We are about to go into the witching hour of this final tonight. Final 8 minutes. Big, big, big final 8 minutes as well.
Yeah, 2 good finishes on the break for Stevie, and he gets to break now. He'll be thinking another big break, another opportunity. Let's tie these scores up.
5-5 at this stage would be
10. Stevie Dempsey to break.
lovely,
25
really,
frames to 4.
for us as neutrals. Yeah, you take that, I think. You take that, I think.
He is breaking bigger and bigger and bigger as the night goes on. He really is trying to hit them as hard as he can.
You heard the grimace, you heard the groan. I'm surprised he's missed this. I'm so surprised. He's potted so cleanly tonight, Stevie.
Yellow balls in play.
Yeah, just when he's eyeing up the opportunity to get back to all square, he goes and misses a straight pot to the corner and gives Arfan the chance that he wanted. Not sure if the yellow below the 8 ball's got a pocket. Not sure it goes in the centre pocket. It does go in the bottom right corner, but landing on it's not easy.
Extension called.
Arfan's come around to have a look at that yellow I was talking about. I think the way he's gone about this finish, that yellow must go in the centre pocket. I don't think it's the full pocket.
Well, he's played on it. That must tell you.
Didn't leave himself the best angle. He would much rather have been straight on that ball, but he's made the pot. A little bit thinner on this one than he wanted as well. Has to be careful with the cue ball for the 8 ball as well. Oh, that worked out though. Happy with that cannon.
He is grafting, isn't he? He's just clawing his way. Winning frames seemingly from nowhere, seemingly he has no real right to win. He's getting opportunities and he is taking them. Stevie Dempsey, I mean, that says it all, doesn't it? He's still thinking about that pot, or the missed pot, I should say.
It looked like he was chatting across to Arfan as well.
Well, there's no one else to talk to out there apart from your opponent. Stevie, I think, needed someone to vent to, even if it was the man he's playing against. Can Arfan get things rolling with the break? Now would be a very good time to do it.
He's hit a lot of jaws on that break.
Just amazing.
Extension called. Red Bull's
So there's still time here for Stevie to get back into this. It was a lovely break from Arfan in terms of the split he left. A nice even split across the table, and a great chance for another reverse dish from Stevie Dempsey. Already 3, I think, in this match.
He's dealt with the shot clock really well. I've been impressed by how quick he can play, but also how slow he can play with the 45 as well. He really does take his time and use the time that he's allowed really well. I think he has played better when he sped up.
Yeah, sometimes you can overthink it. 15 seconds is very severe, but makes you play off your natural instinct rather than overthinking your shots.
Stevie Dempsey back within 1. He will not let Arfan Dad go quietly. 4 minutes remaining. Stevie has the next break. And if he can make one work, we're going level. Long way to go yet. Might even be a 6-red shootout in the offing too. Arfan Dad got more important things on his mind, just checking his messages of support, no doubt.
Frame number 12, Stevie Dempsey.
Stevie Dempsey with the break.
Trailing 6 frames to 5.
We've been here before, 1 behind.
Well, Stevie once again has thrown his arm at it. Only this time it's not come off, and Arfan Dad here with a massive chance. So many reverse dishes for him tonight. If he gets another one, he is in pole position for a spot in the next round.
Red Bull's in play.
He won't be rushing this finish either. He'll be using the full 15 seconds.
Oh, quite right too. Quite right too. If he gets this, he goes 2 frames clear with probably about 2 minutes left, which is very, very tough for Stevie to recover. A little bit less than 2 minutes left, actually.
Pretty sure the red at the top of the table, there's room to land on it. Looks like from main camera that the yellow's in the way, but looks, I'm pretty sure it's fine. Which means there is really is no problems on the table. This really has been a match full of reverse dishes.
We've not seen a match in the tournament like it.
I think there's already been 6. This is could well be 7 coming up.
Should be.
We talk about how big an advantage the break is. Players would always want the break rather than having it. Well, in this match, it's
the exact opposite.
Is the exact opposite. Arfan just left himself a slightly awkward on that. That red would have been coming too low. So use the yellow. Don't think the yellow's got in the way of the 8 ball. Can't have done the way that Arfan's played that.
Big moment. He was never missing it.
Frame.
Never missing it. 2 frames clear. 158 on the watch. Stevie Dempsey is right up against it now. Arfan Dad on the hill, and if he can make a ball on this break, if he can make a ball, he will be in prime position. But Arfan Dad rather, is on the hill. But it is, I mean, no wonder he's wanting a glass of water, because it is dry out there.
Yeah. I wonder if he's going to change. Is he going to move?
Frame number 13.
He seems to have stayed quite a lot from the right-hand side. He's coming a bit more straight on this time. You can see he almost doesn't know what to do. And he finally find the secret to this break.
Changed his bridging hand a little bit as well.
Oh, he didn't hit that well at all.
Stevie Dempsey, here's your chance.
He
needs a quick clearance.
He really mishit that break. Caught it almost half ball. Cue ball nearly flew into that centre pocket. And even then, he still hit a couple of jaws.
Stevie Dempsey needs a quick break. 150, it is enough. We've seen it in shootout pool. We talked about Simon Fitzsimmons and his moments on Free Sports. One of them was that incredible shootout victory against Jordan Shepherd, which happened in similar circumstances. This wouldn't be for a victory for Stevie Dempsey. This would just take us to a 6-red shootout, but he will take that at this stage.
He's not going to give himself long in his next, if he clears this up for the next break.
Yeah, these needs to go quick.
He almost needs a, I think we're almost going to need him to see a golden break. The clock will stop as soon as the 8 ball is in.
Great pots. Is he going to have the time to clear it? 45 seconds, 44 seconds. There we go. It's got price calls framed. So 44 seconds to force a 6-red shootout. Can he do it? Arfan Dad enjoying a smile. Just helping with the pain, I think, of the last sort of hour for him. That's 2 hours for Arfan Dad. It must be playing on his mind something chronic at the moment. But Stevie Dempsey, it's all on his break now.
Yeah, I think Arfan's going to be nervous sat in his chair. He knows it's all in his favour, but he'll be nervous. He'll just be hoping for a dry break or a foul break or anything from Stevie. He'll even take a messy table, anything to stop a quick finish.
Stevie Dempsey first needs a ball, and then
Frame number 14.
he needs a very quick finish. A golden
Stevie
break,
Dempsey
of course, would
break.
go lovely.
Trying 7 frames to 6.
Needs a ball, gets a ball. How's the split? I think he might be all right, you know.
This is a chance. This is a great chance.
Yellow ball.
Does the yellow nearest the bottom right-hand corner go to the bottom right-hand corner? I don't think so.
30 seconds to force a shootout.
Not the best angle this time.
Great pot. Brilliant pots. Has he got an angle here? He's not got a huge amount of time.
Yeah, I don't think it goes.
It's a hit and hope. Oh, is he going to fluke it? Oh, I thought he was. Arfan Dad is through. His heart was pounding, he tells us such. That was an incredible finish. I thought Stevie Dempsey was going to be able to do it. But in the end, Arfan Dad manages to get through. Not a single break potted. And he has won the match against Stevie Dempsey. incredible. Those break stats are just almost unfathomable. We've not seen anything like that in this tournament. I've not seen anything like it in many tournaments for a long time. Huge credit therefore must go to Arfan Dad. He's almost battled another level of adversity against what has been two very good opponents as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's very rare you can break that poorly and win a match against some of the best players in the world. And Stevie played well there as well, which makes it even more surprising that Arfan was able to break that badly. But the one thing I did notice on the stats there, other than the huge number of reverse dishes, I think there was 8 in the match and a break dish as well for Stevie, was the fact that there was nothing missed from Arfan. When he got his opportunities, he took them, and actually in open play, he played a fantastic match. A couple of great tactical shots to win frames when Stevie didn't take them out. He was able to make sure he won those frames. So, other than the break, which was a massive thing, Arfan's played very, very well tonight.
Hasn't he just? All right, we're going to take a break and we're going to hear from the man himself when we come back. Arfan Dad is in the last 16. Well, welcome back to the Ultimate Pool Masters on Free Sports. That's the headline news. The Group 13 winner, Arfan Dad. What a performance from him. The man from Keighley makes his way through, and he joins me now. Arfan, I feel like I've got to ask you first of all, how does it feel to win 2 matches against 2 top quality players, both of whom played well, and only making 1 ball off a break? It's amazing, but you played so well in open table. How frustrating was it not giving yourself those extra chances? It would have made a really easy night's work for you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what happened with my break tonight. I mean, even when I was hitting them well, they weren't like going in and leaving easy finishes for my opponents. Just one of them nights, but normally when that happens, you don't really tend to win those games. But I'm just over the moon to get through. With what's happened on the break, but. Like Stevie didn't really put off all his breaks. I took 2 or 3 off his breaks. So if he was putting off his, clearing up off those breaks, it would have been tough for me. But yeah, I'm glad I got those chances, and I think I took most of them, which is probably why I got through. Yeah,
how pleased with you how well you played in open table. I think 1 missed pot all night. It was lethal from you, really.
Yeah, I mean, I've been playing well in amongst the balls for a while now because my game's pretty sharp. I've got a new cue from my sponsor. I can't really do much more in amongst the balls. I just need to work on that break, make it a bit easier for myself.
You got a little bit of time to work on that before we'll see you again. But how much does it mean to you to get into the last 16 of this competition? Because it's loaded with 64 top quality players. That last 16 is almost a Hall of Fame, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, there's some quality players there, but obviously I'm not going to just settle on the last 16. I know I can do better than that, so without sounding arrogant, that's how all the last 16 players will feel. They'll want to go further too.
And quite right too. Well, I wish you all the very best luck when we see you next time. Congratulations tonight.
Yeah, cheers, Dave. Thank you.
Oh, what a superb performance, Simon. Let's have a look at that draw because it's shaping up rather nicely if your name's Arfan Dad.
Yeah, for me, brilliant performance from Arfan. We talked about the struggles with the break tonight, but as he said in the interview there in open play, he was absolutely fantastic. I had him down as 6 reverse dishes, so he's still taking out plenty of finishes from the break, but he was also taking the right choices, great tactical play when his opponents missed, and punished pretty much every mistake that came his way. So brilliant performance from Arfan, and absolutely thoroughly deserves his place in the last 16.
And take a look at that draw next week. Omar Munshid, Keir Monaghan, Scott Gillespie, John Rowe. The winner of that 4 will end up facing Arfan Dad in the last 16. That draw is just getting better and better and better. What a group next week. Do join us next time, same place. We'll be with you for week 14 of the Masters.